Care for the Elderly, often referred to as HCE, is a program that supports in-home full-time caregivers as they care for their loved ones. Marcia Lorenz with Seniors First is here to tell us more about this program. And Marcia, this was really interesting. This is for someone who is in their home and has a full-time caregiver. Is that correct?
Yes.
How does this all work?
Yeah, exactly right. So a lot of the services that we provide help individuals that live alone. Obviously, when you live alone, you're more at risk of needing more assistance. So this is a caregiver support program specifically designed to help that caregiver continue to provide care to a loved one. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. So the individual is 60 years or older in order to qualify.
Okay.
They have to have the full-time caregiver, as you mentioned,
Right.
somebody who will commit to taking care of them. And it is an income eligible program. So unlike other programs that we've talked about earlier
Right.
today, they do have to qualify. There's an income guideline and there's an asset guideline for home care for the elderly.
And so actually the caregiver actually receives a stipend. They receive
Exactly.
money to assist in caregiving.
They do. They receive a small stipend, and they can use that stipend to support the individual in terms of what their needs are. Additional maybe medications, supplies, anything that would help improve the quality of life of the person that they're taking care of, they can use the stipend for. So it's nice to be able to have that extra cash assistance.
Sure.
In order to buy the things that maybe insurance doesn't cover, again, or things that just you need, just extra supplies and extra items that
Those
help
things
that
that come
individual.
up at the last moment,
Yes.
that would be a little bit of assistance for that caregiver. Now you mentioned, okay, it is a full-time caregiver.
Yes.
The person is living in their individual home.
Yes.
It's not in a facility or a group home or anything like
Correct.
this.
As the name indicates, home care for the elderly.
Home care.
So you do have to be, it has to be in the home, and the caregiver has to have that individual in their home. Again, a lot of times it is care for a loved one or a relative or a family member, but it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
If this individual is willing to take on the responsibility of being a full-time caregiver and they qualify, they meet the income and asset guideline for the program, then they're eligible to receive the service.
So obviously on your website, I'm sure there's all the information of how to apply for this or what agencies
Absolutely.
really coordinate this in Central Florida.
So we do it so Seniors First does it in Orange and Seminole County. So
Right.
this is a program, for both the counties that we cover. And then in Osceola, it's Osceola County Council on Aging. There is a waiting list for home care for the elderly. There is, when I talk about eligibility criteria, there is an assessment. So a case manager does an assessment that covers all different areas in terms of, it looks at their physical impairments, their mental impairments, their income, again, income eligible, and a broad array of information about that individual as to why they need the service. They're scored and prioritized on the waiting list. So there's a low score of 1, a high score of 5, and obviously the people or the clients that have a 5 are the highest priority, and when funding is available, they come on service.
No, that's terrific, because then they kind of have that feeling of everything is taken care of, everything is organized and coordinated, and then again, as you mentioned, they have that extra little bit of assistance money for those things that might be needed at the last moment.
So the goal is to keep the caregiver providing care, because we know that if the caregiver breaks down, then it causes a problem for the individual, and it may necessitate them moving to a more restrictive environment. They may have to move into assisted living or move into a nursing home. And the whole goal, again, is to support that independent living, giving them that choice, that dignity, supporting the caregiver. And it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Absolutely, and it's such a good program, so vital that people may not be aware that this is available for the caregiver who's taking care of that wonderful person. And Marcia, thank you so much for explaining the Home Care for the Elderly program. It's terrific. Thanks.